Hey guys, tonight we begin with something a little darker. A lonely harbour, an unregistered cargo ship, and a crate that shouldn't be breathing. This isn't your average ghost story. It's about isolation, forgotten docks, and what happens when you crack open something that was never meant to be disturbed. The kind of tale where curiosity doesn't just kill the cat,
It takes the whole damn crew.
So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Congratulations, you're now standing at Dock 47 just past midnight. The air is thick with salt and rust, and somewhere out there in the fog, a ship has pulled in without a sound. No captain, no crew, just a row of jet black containers stacked like coffins.
You're the night shift.
You weren't supposed to see this. And yet, here you are, alone, staring at a cargo unit that just exhaled. I had worked the docks for 7 years before that night. Long enough to grow used to strange shipments, weird hours, and stranger people. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what we found in that container. The night had started quietly, just like any other, windless, heavy, almost too still.
Like the whole port was holding its breath.
There were 3 of us on shift.
Me, Danny, and Umar, the oldest guy on the team.
They called him Rustbeard, because he had this wiry red beard that looked like it had soaked up every ounce of diesel and tobacco smoke in the last 2 decades. We got the alert around 12:12 a.m. A vessel had docked at Pier West. Gate closed, lights off. No registration on file. Now that wasn't totally unheard of. Sometimes independent ships sneak in hoping to avoid customs fees. But when we walked up, the whole ship looked wrong. Like it had been submerged for weeks and just resurfaced. Paint peeled.
Hull dented.
No crew in sight. Just shadows moving behind frosted. Windows that shouldn't have existed on a cargo freighter. We didn't want to be there, but duty's duty. And Umar, in his old school way,
Muttered that if it docked,
it needed to be cleared, no matter what.
that's when we heard the breath.
It came from one of the larger containers.
5 meters long.
Polished black metal.
No markings, no serials.
Just a small inspection panel that looked like it had been recently welded shut from the inside. Danny tapped it with the end of a crowbar.
That's when it responded. A deep, wet inhale.
Like lungs the size of a refrigerator had just drawn in a lungful of sea air. No other sounds.
No movement.
Just breathing. Umar took a long drag from his cigarette and said the line that would stick with me forever. If it's alive,
It ain't cargo.
we were supposed to call it in. That's protocol.
Unmarked living cargo?
That's biohazard territory. But Umar, he didn't like rules. Or maybe he knew something we didn't. Either way, he waved us off and climbed into the forklift himself. The container creaked as the forks lifted it.
Not just metal on metal.
It was more
Like it groaned.
like something inside was shifting its weight. We all heard it.
And none of us said a word.
Umar turned to us with that usual grin of his, but then stopped. His eyes twitched.
And for a split second, I swear to God, I saw his beard lift like it was caught in a breeze. Except there was no wind.
Not even a whisper. That was when all the dock lights went out at once. We froze, total blackout. Just the sound of the ocean and the low electric hum of something still breathing in the dark. Then came the whisper,
Not loud, not urgent.
but impossibly close.
Closer. I don't know who moved first.
But somehow, we all took a step forward like puppets being tugged by the same unseen hand.
And the container?
It shuddered,
Not violently.
just enough to let us know it heard us. We scrambled back. Danny dropped his crowbar. It clattered so loud in the silence it felt like a gunshot. And then, one by one, the floodlights buzzed back to life. Except now the container was open.
Not fully. Just the hatch.
The inner door hung slightly ajar,
Inside darkness.
and a scent that doesn't translate well into words, like rotting kelp, burnt oil and old breath. Umar stepped closer again, muttering something under his breath.
I don't think he realized his nose was bleeding.
Danny grabbed my arm. "We need to go," he whispered. "Right now."
Call someone.
I was already dialing the port authority when we heard the sound.
A dragging chain.
From inside the container. We didn't stay. We ran. But the thing is, when we turned around seconds later, the container was sealed.
No hatch, no sign of opening, nothing.
And Umar, he was gone. We searched for him.
Not right away, though.
For a full 5 minutes after we turned back and saw the container closed, Danny and I just stood there, paralyzed. The air had changed.
Heavier, like humidity had soaked into our lungs.
The kind of atmosphere that presses down on your shoulders and makes you forget how to breathe. Then reality hit.
Umar was gone, not hiding.
Not around the corner, just gone. No footprints, no blood, no signs of struggle. 1 minute he was walking toward the crate. The next it was sealed shut, and the only thing in his place was a damp handprint on the metal door. A handprint that didn't match any of ours. We did what most cowards would do. We called in an incident report, left the shipyard,
And didn't mention a word about what actually happened.
the security footage glitched, of course.
6 minutes of corrupted video.
All black screen with one frame, just one, showing Umar,
Mid-step toward the container.
and in the far right corner of the image, a shape, a tall, narrow silhouette, too thin to be human.
Too long in the arms.
And where the head should have been, there was only blur.
Like the camera didn't know how to render it.
That night I didn't sleep. Danny didn't either. He sent me voice notes at 2, 3 and 4 a.m, just breathing, rambling, saying he kept hearing. Chains outside his window, said he dreamt of Umar standing barefoot in his hallway, soaking wet and holding something wrapped in canvas. By morning, Danny was gone too.
Not vanished.
Just snapped. He left town.
Shut off his phone.
Deleted his socials. Later, I'd learn he checked into a clinic 2 states away,
Babbling about breathing walls and voices in the drains. I tried to forget. I really did.
but the port doesn't let you forget.
It drags you back.
2 weeks later, I got reassigned to the same dock, same shift, as if nothing happened, and guess what was waiting there for me?
The same goddamn container.
It had been moved.
Registered this time.
According to the manifest, it contained archived biological matter for private research. The signature on the file was a scrawl,
No company name. No return address.
just a seal, a circle with something like a spiral of teeth inside. When I touched the container again, I felt warmth. Not like heat from sunlight or machines. No, this was different. This was body heat, like the thing inside had grown stronger, like it remembered me.
That night I stayed late. Not by choice.
The forklifts failed. The gate refused to open.
My keycard stopped working. Phone too. Everything dead. And then I heard it.
The whisper,
This time it said my name. I froze.
not because it said my name, but because it said it the way only one person ever had. The same cadence my mother used to whisper when I was sick as a kid. The same lilt. The same pause before the last syllable. But she died 6 years ago.
I backed away slowly, my boots scraping the concrete.
The container pulsed. Yes, pulsed. Not vibrated. It moved with rhythm, like something inside had a heartbeat the size of a generator. A slow, wet thud every few seconds. Each pulse pushed warm air through the seams of the door, and I could smell it again, that mix of salt, iron, and decay. Like something old had been sweating inside for far too long.
And then
It clicked open, not by force, just a soft, smooth click, like it was inviting me in.
I should have run.
God knows I should have, but there's a part of the human mind that's wired toward the forbidden, toward the what if. That night mine took over. I stepped forward, hand shaking, pulled open the latch and peered inside.
Darkness.
Then a shimmer,
Like oil on water.
like something was breathing light inside the void. There was no cargo,
No bags, no boxes.
just a room, bigger than it should have been.
Much bigger.
I could see walls, distant ones, way beyond the physical limits of the container, and inside shapes,
Moving slow, crawling, slithering, human-like.
but wrong, elongated, smooth, featureless. One turned to face me.
No eyes, no mouth. no expression, but I felt it seeming deeply, intimately.
And behind it, at the center of the impossible
Room was a pillar,
flesh-colored, breathing, wrapped in chains that moved on their own, as if restraining something that still wanted out.
I stumbled backward.
My vision swimming, my ears ringing. And then the whisper came again, clearer this time.
Help me, remember.
I slammed the door shut and collapsed against the ground, gasping.
That's when security found me. Passed out, drenched in sweat, mumbling about a voice that wasn't mine.
They thought it was heat stroke.
Cabin fluids.
Logged it as a minor incident. But they didn't ask about the container. They didn't log it, didn't mention it. Almost like they knew. When I returned to work 2 days later, the container was gone.
No records, no footage.
No paper trail.
Only the lingering scent. And the dream.
Because now,
every time I close my eyes, I see that room again.
At first, the dreams only came at night.
Always the same hallway.
Always the same door. That impossible room behind it, lit by nothing, pulsing with that same breath. The whispers followed, but they weren't just sounds anymore. They were instructions.
Names, coordinates, phrases I didn't understand.
One night, I woke up in my kitchen barefoot, holding a rusted key I had never seen before.
Another night, I found sea salt on my pillow.
I lived 20 miles from the coast. It wasn't just me. Other workers at the dock started quitting.
Some vanished. One guy, Marcus, cut off 2 of his own fingers in a panic attack. He kept screaming, "It's in the nails!"
It's in the nails. They transferred him to a psych ward upstate.
That's when I started digging.
Every dock has its old men. The ones who drink too much and talk too little. But after a few rounds of whiskey, they start to loosen.
And one of them, old Rennie, he told me something I'll never forget.
This ain't the first time that crate showed up, he said.
I seen it back in '82, looked different.
But same breath, same heat.
Same whispers.
I asked what happened then. He looked at me with tired, sunken eyes and said, half the crew died.
Other half went missing.
And the ship that brought it?
Sank on the way out. Not a trace left.
But the crate came back anyway. I pressed him for more. But he just shook his head and muttered something in a language I didn't recognize.
Like he wasn't talking to me anymore.
Like he was warning someone else. So I went deeper. I pulled old records, searched decommissioned manifests, looked through newspaper archives that had been blacked out in parts. What I found was worse than I imagined. Every 10 to 15 years, the same pattern.
Unmarked vessel.
Unclaimed container. Multiple disappearances.
And always whispers.
It wasn't a shipment. It was a cycle. Something testing the perimeter.
A signal wrapped in flesh and steel. And I had touched it.
Let it see me.
Let it speak my name.
The dreams started bleeding into my waking life. Shadows moved behind glass that should have shown nothing. My own voice echoed in places I hadn't spoken. One time I looked into a bathroom mirror and saw myself blink. Before I did. And then one night, I got the call.
No number.
Just static. And then a voice.
Umar's voice.
But twisted. Like it had travelled through metal and ocean and time. All memory returns to the vessel, it said. And then the line went dead.
I should have left.
Packed up, disappeared, changed my name and forgotten the docks like a bad scar. But the problem with witnessing something impossible is that it changes your definition of what's real. You stop trusting the usual fears. You stop running from shadows because now you know they sometimes run after you. I went back to Dock 47. The place felt hollow, not just empty but drained. Like the very concrete beneath my boots had lost something vital.
Even the gulls were gone. No wind.
No water lapping the pylons. Just silence and dust.
And then I saw it.
The crate, sitting there like it had never moved. Like the last 3 weeks had been a fever dream looped in reverse.
Only this time.
It was open. The hatch hung wide, but the darkness inside was absolute. No shimmer, no sound, just stillness.
I don't know what force pulled me forward. I don't remember moving. Only that 1 second I was 10 feet away.
And the next I was standing at the edge of the container's mouth. Inside was no longer a room. It was a corridor. Stone walls, damp, dripping, covered in markings.
I couldn't read curved lines.
That moved when I blinked. The air was warmer here, breathing. like lungs built into the walls. Every few seconds the space would contract, and my ears would pop.
Like the container was inhaling and exhaling time itself. I took a step inside.
The light behind me vanished. Total dark.
Then I heard a voice.
Not a whisper this time. It was my own voice, calling out from ahead.
And then layered beneath it dozens of other voices, all versions of me. Laughing, crying, screaming, begging. Memories I'd forgotten.
Dreams I'd buried. Words I'd never said aloud. All bouncing off the stone as I moved deeper.
And then Umar,
He stepped out from the side of the corridor. Same beard.
same cigarette hanging from his lip.
But his eyes, they were hollow. Like someone had scooped the soul out and filled it with ocean water.
You shouldn't have come back, he said.
I tried to ask what this place was, but no sound came out. My mouth moved, but the words fell to the floor like stones. He shook his head slowly, then raised a hand and pointed behind me. I turned, and what I saw wasn't the port. It was a field,
Endless, moonless.
and at its center, the crate again. But this time it wasn't closed. It was breathing, and something was crawling out. It moved like a spider with no bones, slick, fluid, wrong. Its limbs were long, folding and unfolding as it dragged itself out of the breathing crate.
No eyes, no face.
Just a long slit where a mouth should have been, and from it, breath. Not the kind of breath lungs make. This was something deeper, primordial, like the sound of the sea, being inhaled by the earth.
I tried to run,
But the ground pulsed beneath my feet.
and I realized the field wasn't a field at all.
It was skin. The crate wasn't sitting on the earth, it was growing from it.
Like a cyst.
Like something festering beneath reality had finally ruptured. The creature stopped. It turned to me, not with eyes, but with intention,
I felt it rooting through my thoughts.
tearing pages from my memory, finding the exact moment I first saw the crate, and looping it over and over until time lost meaning. It spoke again, this time not in words.
In feelings,
"You are the door."
I screamed. I know I did.
But no sound came out. Just vapor, just fog.
And when I woke up,
I was back in my apartment. No dirt on my shoes.
no cuts, no blood.
Just the faintest scent of salt water lingering in my sheets and a bruise, shaped like a handprint on my shoulder. I checked the dock. The crate was gone.
Again.
But it left something behind.
Every night now I hear it.
In the pipes. In the walls. In the space between dreams. Breathing.
Waiting. I don't know what I let out. I don't know if it ever left.
But sometimes in the early hours before sunrise, I wake up to find my door open, and my apartment filled with the smell of the sea. If you're still listening, maybe you've heard it too. Maybe you've seen something at the edge of your vision that didn't belong.
If you have,
Don't follow in it,
don't open the door.
and for your own sake, don't ever answer if it whispers your name. Thanks for staying with me till the end. If this story crawled under your skin even a little,
Do me a favor, hit that like button.
and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I read every comment, and I always want to know, where are you watching from?
And what time is it for you right now?
This is Clara After Dark. Sleep tight, or
Don't.